All right. So freelance writer and editor, right off the bat. Does that mean you just really liked writing essays as a high school student? You just like, yeah, I want to keep this. This is it.
Absolutely not. I was not a fan of writing essays until I got to the writing part. Once I started writing, I couldn't stop. Brevity was not my strong suit, but definitely not that. Being a writer and editor means a few different things. There's a bunch of different types of those things. But yeah, a freelance writer just means you work with clients to make copy, which essentially is just a word for writing. You use your words to get a certain message across. And with editing, typically it depends what type you do, but especially with novels like I tend to prefer, it's just making sure that the wording, the story, everything comes together in a way that presents the story how the author wants, essentially.
Almost like a coach or an advisor, I suppose, at a certain point.
Yeah, sort of. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's look at it from a business mindset, because I'm coming in, I hear that you're a writer, that you're an editor, and if there was a job that a regular business officer was going to ask you to do, what are the kinds of jobs that they probably want you to do for them?
Oh, well, that varies quite a bit.
Okay,
so if you don't mind, I can get into what kind of the differences are.
Absolutely.
So there's kind of three main different categories, I'd say. There's content, copy, and technical writing. Content, in theory, the idea is content writing is just information. So it's an article telling you about something. Copywriting has a purpose, it has an intention. You want people to do something, and you're using the words to convince them to do something. And technical is kind of supposed to be after something's sold, you're explaining what to do with it, kind of thing. And there's a lot of gray area with a lot of them. So like with a blog or something like that, in theory, it's content writing. But if you're writing a blog for a business, they want you to use the content, whatever you're writing about, to subtly sell their business and convince people to use their business. So especially with content and copywriting, there's a lot of crossover. Especially I love doing newsletters and blogs. And so that kind of thing, it's a little bit of a gray area, but with technical, it's more manuals, how-to guides, things like that.
So every time I see a top 10 camera list for the year 2025, that's presented as copy, but it's also that's presented as informational content, but it's also serving a copy role.
Pretty much, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's good to know. Who are the kinds of people that you find that you tend to work with often?
It's varied pretty wildly. I am still in earlier phases than other people. And so I'm kind of, that work sounds interesting. Let's do it. Yeah, let's try that out as well. But a lot of small local businesses have been really great with working with me and people that I know locally. And I have a lot of just community here that's really great at referring me. And so it's local business, a lot of nonprofit as well.
So you touched on something there that you're relatively new to this field. Is that right? So how long have you been doing editing and writing?
In an official capacity since March.
Sure.
Before that, I've been doing a lot of side things and projects on the side for a year and a half now, I'd say.
So like many people in business, their career became a larger product of something they were doing almost in their hobby as a pastime.
Yeah, I kind of got my start in little ways, starting a year and a half ago to kind of set myself up for success before I took the leap of cutting out other work and focusing on this for an actual income.
Gotcha. So I know one of the other things that you do in addition to copy and technical writing is that you also do journalism. Where does that fall into your writing methodology? Yeah,
so journalism is a really interesting one. It's at least supposed to be content writing in its purest form. It's supposed to be factual, unbiased, all of that. Again, in theory, it also depends on what you work for. Some news sources are meant to be biased. But, journalism is a very special one. It's very difficult in ways I had not expected. When you go into writing, a lot of people say, don't do journalism unless you have a journalism degree. And I wound up just accidentally falling into place with journalism. I had an opportunity and I took it. So it was a very hard learning curve. But it's very involved. It's very specific. And that you would think it takes away some of the creativity because you have to write only facts and research and you have to interview people and say it a specific way. But it's a new form of creativity because it's a challenge. And so I've had to really learn how to use the facts to still tell a story while putting the news up front and doing the things you have to do to manage engagement and the reality of writing online, because mine is an entirely online newsroom.
Yeah, I think there's a good point in that. And like I say this as someone who also does something of a creative work, where historically, and we even have signs for this now, people tend to be the most creative when they have some amount of limitations put onto them. It's why you see so many, like, movies are probably the easy example. You get some directors like, I'm making my own movie, it's my own dream. And oftentimes it's this incomprehensible mess. Even though you look at their earlier career when they were in like these rough stages where they had so many limitations, they almost accidentally create these wonderful masterpieces.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, my only short story that I've had published myself is from a prompt I was given in school where they literally just said, you have to write the story in a laundromat. It has to be someone writing about being in a laundromat. And it turned into this horror tragedy short story, and we had 1,000 words to write it. And this was early into the school days. Like I said, brevity is not my strong suit. So keeping that entire story under 1,000 words felt impossible at first. And then it turned into this whole thing. And I did extend it a little bit before sending it to go to publication. So it was more like 1,100. But still being put under that challenge was what really allowed it to flow, because I got to focus on the characters and the story so much more when I didn't have to worry about setting. And I knew I only have 1,000 words. I got to make every single word count.
Yeah, I sympathize with that. I remember when I was in high school, similar thing. I only spent a little bit of time in high school, but we had a teacher come out. She said, okay, we're going to do a writing assignment, 2,500 words. You get a story out. It's got to be about these themes, ... Like, okay, I could do that. I didn't. I did 14,000 words, and she got really mad at me.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But I mean, in the exact opposite direction, there is something about the wonderful effectiveness of being concise and limited. Ernest Hemingway, of course, has the famous 6-word story, which is baby shoes for sale, never used. God, it gets you every time, right?
Every time.